Shabbat Shalom umevorach buchim habayim. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This week we'll be reading Parashat Bamidbar. We're starting a brand new Sefer Bamidbar. And we know the Parasha speaks about every single Shevet had a special flag and they were placed around the Ohel Moed. The Ohel Moed is where Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu every single day. And where was the Ohel Moed? The Ohel Moed was placed in the camp of the Leviim, in the Machaneh of the Leviim. And where were the Leviim? In middle. And all the other tribes were around. Why in the middle? Because that's where the Kedusha is. We know the Kedusha is always in the middle. So too, in a Bet Knesset, where is the Bima? The Bima is in the middle, because that's where we read the Torah from. Also, our heart is like the Torah, is like the Kedusha of our body, is also in the middle of our body. So that's why the Ohel Moed was placed where the Levim is. But we know how special the Torah is. We're coming up, the Chag HaShavuot, it's next week. Bamidbar is always before Chag HaShavuot, connected to the Torah, celebrating the receiving of the Torah. And we know the famous pasuk that says, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, that Moshe commanded us, gave us the Torah. Morasha kihilat Yaakov, it is given from Yaakov Avinu, so on and so forth, to every generation. The pasuk saying that in every single generation we have the Torah Kedosha. The Torah will never leave us. We know the world won't exist without the Torah, so we always have the Torah. The Torah never leaves us. The Torah never left you. But there's another famous pasuk in Pirkei Avot, which also happens to be a custom that during this time we learn Pirkei Avot, that says, Hatken atzmecha lilmod Torah she'en Yerusha lach. What does that mean? One should acquire the Torah. One should make sure he's used to the Torah. He learns the Torah. Why? She'en Yerusha lach, because the Torah is not inherited to you. Just because your father had Torah, and your grandfather had Torah, and your great-grandfather learned Torah, doesn't mean you as the grandchild, the next generation, says, oh, I don't need to learn Torah. My grandfather learned Torah. My parents learned Torah, so I don't need it. So the Chazal teaches us in Pirkei Avot that we each and every single one of us have to learn Torah. But this, Rabotai, is a big contradiction. On one hand, the Torah tells us that the Torah is inherited. And we always have the Torah, and the Torah never leaves us. And it's with us in every generation. And in the other hand, you have Chazal that tells us that it's not an inheritance, and you have to learn it, and you have to acquire it. So what's going on over here? So we have to understand it's not a contradiction, Rabotai. Yes, Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha kihilat Yaakov. In every single generation there's Torah. The Torah is, we're surrounded with the Torah. We live and breathe with the Torah. If the Torah disappears, chas v'shalom, we won't exist. We won't be here anymore. But on the other hand, doesn't mean, Chazal is teaching us, doesn't mean you could say, just because my parents learned Torah, and there's rabbis in the city that learn Torah, my friend's going to learn Torah, so I don't have to learn Torah. Just because it's there in the air, but we still have to acquire it. Every single one of us have to acquire the Torah, learn the Torah, indulge ourselves in the Torah. So really, it's not a contradiction. And we have to really understand the importance of the Torah Kedosha. We're celebrating Chag HaShavuot coming up next week. The Torah is what keeps us alive. The world revolves around the Torah. Without Torah, we won't be here. One of the reasons why Chazal tell us the world was made round and not flat is because if the world was flat, then it will be nighttime for everybody, daytime for everyone, and someone's going to have to go to sleep at night, and there will be 1 second without Limud Torah, the whole world will go kaput. It will disappear. That's why the world's round. So on one end of the world is morning, the other end is night, and vice versa. So we have to understand the Ohel Moed, where the Torah was in the middle, the Jews surrounded the Torah, the Bima we surround, the heart we surround. We have to be surrounded with Torah. We have to show our children what is the Torah. If we want our children to become Talmidei Chachamim, if we want our children to learn Torah, so we too also have to surround ourselves with Torah. We can't say, it's enough that my parents learned Torah. My grandfather was a big sage. He sat and learned Torah. What about you? What about every single one of us individuals? We have to learn Torah in the mornings and night. If we go to work is good. But do we surround ourselves with Torah? And we see the Torah Kedosha gives us Yeshua. Speak to anybody in history that when he added more Torah in his life, his Torah only became better. His Parnasah became greater. He made more money. He was healthier. He was happier in his life. The Torah Kedosha saves us every single day. So Be'ezrat Hashem, with the Chag HaShavuot, and Sefer Bamidbar, and we learn more Torah in our lives. We show our children how important Torah is. We'll see the Gula very soon. Shabbat Shalom umevorach.